Hello and welcome to the SDK training for InsightCM 1.0. In the last video we opened up a VI that read configuration from the InsightCM files and mutated that information into our application type definitions that we used for configuration previously. And we ran that VI and we confirmed that we could in fact populate all of our type definitions with Insight data. And that's as far as we took it though. So in this episode we're going to drop that VI into the controller and we're going to wire everything up and distribute that configuration to the appropriate threads. So this is once we get this done, then the rest of the coding really is quite simple. So let's go ahead and get started. In the vibration data logger, we'll open up the main RTVI. It's inside the controller where our configuration is being read. So we'll open up the controller and you can see there's this case called read configuration. This is where before we were opening our XML file, outputting its information on this type def, and this type def went to pretty much everybody. And we're going to build on this same idea. We're going to replace this VI with the VI that we worked on in the last video and distribute that information to all the threads. So let's do that now. So we had this load insight config, which is inside insight files. This is some example code that I wrote, which will be on the NITalk page for this video series. Let's take that and drag it down here. And I'm going to delete this old configuration VI and drop in the new. So now our XML file isn't being used anywhere at all, and that is a good thing for our purposes here. So we have these extra type defs that we talked about before: equipment layout, metric configs, and hierarchy ID. So let's pass those around where they need to go. We're going to take this top thread is called systems health here. He's going to continue to get just the original type def, but the next thread is logging queue. This thread here, he's going to get the old configuration type def, but he also is going to get equipment layout and hierarchy IDs. He's going to get both of those. So stretch this out. And we're going to just do some wiring here. This may be kind of a boring episode. And we'll say this message is called equip layout. And this is going to be called hierarchy IDs. And so we just need to populate it with data. So we'll take equipment layout here and we'll send that information along with this message. Then we'll take we also need hierarchy IDs. That will come with this message. Now we're going to add those. So now these two extra pieces of information are going to the logging queue, which we need because the TDMS files need access to the equipment layout and the hierarchies to write the appropriate messages, the appropriate properties for it to show up in Data Explorer. Then this thread, this next thread here is, that's the analysis. Good. The analysis thread needs the metrics. So he'll get the original configuration plus channel metrics. And that is coming from here. So that information will go here with a message called chan metrics. I think that's it. I think those are the only extra information we need. Just check here. So we're sending all of these messages to, oh yeah, there's one other thing we should do. This device, we need to populate this with device name from here. Alright, there we go. Now our broken run arrow has gone away. So this is good. Now we're distributing all of this configuration to the appropriate threads, but we still don't have the cases. We haven't implemented these 3 new cases in the actual thread, so that'll be the last step for this video here. So we're going to take, let's make some type defs here because we have flattened things to variant, so we're going to have to unflatten them from variant. So equipment layout, we'll make a type def for that, and then we'll make a type def for metric config. Then we'll make a type def for hierarchy IDs. Excellent. So I'll do this one at a time. So equipment layout is going to the logging queue. Equipment layout is, and so is hierarchy IDs. Let's take them both. Equipment layout and hierarchy IDs are going. So we'll cut that and go into the logging thread. Excellent. And we're going to need some cases in the logging thread to handle these new 2 type defs. So we'll create a similar case called equip layout, and the spelling here must perfectly match the spelling of the message. So I hope I'm doing that. This will get passed through here, but we're now reading this message with that data, and we're going to need a new cache for it. And in a similar fashion, we'll duplicate this. We have hierarchy IDs, and this guy will go away. We will make another shift register for it. Alright, so I'm going to pause the video here, and all I'm going to do is finish wiring things up. When I come back, you'll see that I have wired all of these, I've taken these wires and put them into shift registers and wired through all the cases. And I'm also going to go to channel metrics, and I'm going to make a similar thing for channel metrics in the analysis queue. So we'll come back and we'll run it and test it, and then we'll call it a day. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back, and as you can see, I have taken all these wires and I've just wired them through all the cases. And I've made shift registers for these new configuration type defs. And I went ahead and labeled them. So I had the old device configuration type def. I went ahead and labeled him. And then the two that I've added, hierarchy IDs and equipment layout, I added those as well. Because we're going to be wiring up to them, and it'll just be good to know which is which. So we have the new equipment layout case, the new hierarchy IDs case, very similar, but we're just, again, unflattening the type def and caching them inside the thread. Then if you recall, there was a third message that we added, and that was the Chan metrics message, and that's going to the analysis thread. So inside of the analysis thread, I did a similar thing. I added a case called Chan metrics, and he just takes the variant, unflattens it to the type def, and then caches it to this shift register here. And likewise, I just labeled which one was which. We had the old device configs, and now we have Chan metrics, which we'll be using in the next video. So the way that we can test this, and it's kind of exciting what we have here. So whenever I run this VI, we can go and probe all of the configuration clusters to make sure that they have expected data in them. And we're going to do our first manipulation from the web. So this is another big moment of truth. Let's try to run this thing and see what happens. Alright, I think this is a good sign so far. The XML string is not populated. That makes sense because we're not reading our configuration from the XML file anymore. We're reading it from the Insight files. So let's just do a little probing around here. We can go into the logger, and we should see configuration in an old device config type def, which we do. Excellent. But we should also see information in equipment layout and hierarchy IDs, which we do. Fantastic. Fantastic. This information has become very useful when we're writing our TDMS files. And subsequently, in the analysis thread, we should see device config, which we do. This device config should be in every thread, really. And Chan metrics also is being populated. Fantastic. So this is great. We have read our configuration from the InsightCM files, and we have distributed that configuration to all the appropriate threads. So now that we are populating our original type def with InsightCM, with the information from the InsightCM files, that means we can go to the web and now change any device or channel property, and the system should respond to that. So let's try that now. Open up the web. We have this, our device, which is online. Let's configure it. And so on AI0, we had the properties of the sensitivity was what, 1000? Let's change that. Let's change the sensitivity to 500. Having the sensitivity should double the amplitude that is reported. So let's go ahead and hit save. So in the background, recall, the server is now pushing new configuration files to the CRIO. Then the CRIO should get a message called apply configuration, and the dispatcher is going to take that, send it to the controller, which will shut down the system and reboot it. So this is good. This is responding exactly the way it should. We'll give it a moment to reboot. See if he's online yet. He is. So let's run them. Connected and authorized. Very good. So that means he's got the latest configuration. Well, the configuration he has now matches the configuration that's on the server. And just to verify, we'll go to the DAC thread, or you can do this in any thread, but we'll probe the device config. Yep, we've got our new sensitivity in AI0. So that means that when we open our test panel, our waveform data is now being reported twice as large. So this is great. We can change sample rate, the number of samples that we're reading per block. We can change any property that's available here in the web is now, under device properties. Any property here in device properties or channel properties can be changed from the web, and it affects how the cRIO operates. So this is a very big step. We are now receiving configuration from the web. This is fantastic. So that pretty much sums up the configuration part. We're getting all our configuration from Insight. It's being distributed. And in the next episode, we are going to implement our analysis. We're going to modify our analysis thread to implement those new features that Insight has, where you can turn metrics on and off. So that will be in the next episode. Thanks for joining.